Today we are going to see about the AWS Step Functions. So basically this is one of the serverless offering by AWS. This is for the workflow service in AWS. What exactly that means is like you have multiple tasks that are running. You wanted them to communicate with each other. You wanted some tasks to wait for other. So all those workflows which you have to make, you can make with the AWS Step. Real world example, what workflow can be look like. Let's say you wanted to make Maggie. So first you'll boil the water, then you'll add the noodle, and then you'll add the taste maker, and then you'll cook for 2 minutes and then serve. In the step function, it is can be considered as a state. Whether you wanted to wait for another step to come, you wanted one step after other, and you wanted to wait for it. All those things can be taken care by the AWS step function. So mostly it defines the workflow in JSON, like recipes which we have, and uh, like you can run the Lambda, wait for something, you can make if and else choice, so you can retry and do the error catch. You can have a multiple, you can actually do the batch processing. You can fan out your particular batch into multiple parallel processes running, and after once all has been done, you can wait for it to complete. So batch processing can also be done by this. So similarly, like the workflow which we were saying, like imagine you are online store, you will receive an order. So first state could be receiving order, then you'll check the inventory. If inventory is available, then you'll actually charge the payment and ship the item. Otherwise, you'll just notify the user. So this is the entire flow which you have. For We'll start with a smaller demo. In this demo, we'll send the welcome email to the user who has registered to our site. So the flow is like the user will provide us the name and the email. We'll save that in our database. Once that is saved, we'll trigger another Lambda that will send the email to that particular user. So for this, there are two Lambda functions that will be needed. So I'll show you. I've created those Lambda functions already to save the time. And if you haven't, you don't know about the Lambda function, you can go ahead and watch my another video. I'll link that video in the description. So in that, you'll be able to see how exactly to create the Lambda functions. I have created a Lambda function. One is to save the user to the database. So this Lambda function is really a dummy Lambda function which I have created. So it is expecting the input to be the name and the email address of the user. Once it will get that, it will just generate one user ID. Actually, we can create a DB call here and save it to DB, but I have just created a fake user ID and printed that it has been created. And this Lambda function is returning a user ID and email. So basically user ID which we have created and the email address which the user has provided, this we are returning back as the output of this Lambda function. This is the one Lambda function which we have created, saved to the user database. So if you want to test it, just so that we'll know what is the input and output of it, I'll show you that. So here I'll put the input. Input is just the JSON which we are putting here, and we are just putting the user name and the email address. Once we'll invoke it, it will generate the output. So output is the user ID which we have created as UUID, and the email address which user have given. So both of the things will be the output of this. Another function which we have created, which I'll show you here, is send the welcome email. So this is another Lambda which I have created. In this particular Lambda, what I'm doing is just getting the event which contain the user ID and the email, and here we are just writing the print statement. We can write the actual logic to send the email, and once that is done, we'll just saying that email has been sent and the email address will print. So these are the two Lambda functions which we have created. Now going back to the main agenda of this particular video is the step functions. So I'll create a new step function. In this step function, we are creating a blank step function, and we just wanted to create as a welcome email. I've already tried it once, but I'll try it again. Welcome email one, I'll give it, and I'll just do the continue. So once this state function is created, now now we'll spend some time understanding what exactly this is. So this is the uh, this is the step function. This is like known as the state machine which we are creating. Here uh, each action can be a state. So here we can either in the state we can invoke a lambda, we can publish to SNS, we can run any task, execute things, we can do a lot of things in this particular state. For our use case example which we are using, we wanted to invoke a lambda function. We'll put a lambda function, and we wanted to invoke another lambda function. So our main target is on the basis of the output of this lambda function, first lambda function will invoke the second one. So these are the two things which we will be doing it. Just center it so that it's look good. Now I'll show you how exactly the configuration looks. So first, let's talk about the lambda one, where let's say we name it as a save to database. So this is the state name which we have given. We can give any state name here. On this, we wanted to invoke a lambda function. So lambda function save user to database. That's what the lambda function we wanted to invoke. And this is the state which we have created. The another lambda function to which we having is actually to send email. We'll name it like that only, and we'll configure the another lambda function here. After doing all this, like we can see the diagram here, if we wanted to look into the code, this is the code which we have, and we in this code, if we wanted to look, there are states which we have. There are two states. One is save to db, another is the email. So we have created a type task for both the state. These are the tasks, and for this we are actually calling these lambda functions which we have here. So it also gives us some automatic way of retry, error handling. Everything is done automatically in this serverless step function. So now our function is ready. Let's create it. So there is one error found, like basically we need a rule for that. Either we can create the rule where we will give the permissions for our step function to execute lambda, or we can have already existing one ready. So as I have already done it just before this demo, I'll just use that one only, and then I'll create it. So now the state machine is created successfully. Now we can execute that. So once doing the execution, it wants us to give us the input. So the input which we were having is the same one, like we'll give the email, we'll give the name and the email, and we'll start the execution. On this execution, what will happen? First state will be triggered, and the output of the first state will be the input of another state, and it will go to the end. Let's start the execution. So this is the state which we have. So if you wanted to see, like we have given this input, and this is the input which you have given, and the output of this state is the user ID which we have generated and the email address. And the second uh, state where we have the send email, in this the user ID which we have generated in the first state will be given, and the second state. So at the end, the output is email sent, and the to the email ID which we are doing with our lambda. So this is the basic example of the step function. You can play around with it and create a complex workflows in the step function of AWS. So I hope this video was helpful for you to understand the basics of step function, what exactly it is, and how to start working on this. This should be the starting point. Once you'll get the basics clear, then you can start building the complex workflows. So in the flows, you can have the choice if and else statement, then the parallel execution instead of sequential doing. You can have map where you can actually fan out your request to multiple parallel request. So you can use the map there. So you can do put the wait specifically after one task you wanted to wait for a certain period amount of time, you can do that. So all the amazing things you can start doing once you know the basics. So I hope this video was helpful for you. So keep learning, keep building cool things.